All right, hi and welcome back to the Chelsea Blueprint. It is the day after the FA Cup final and we're going to talk all things Chelsea. Obviously, we are managerless going into a final and I'm here joined with Nina Hristova, big Chelsea fan, always on Chelsea fan TV. How you doing, Nina?
Yeah, I'm good, Sean. Nice to get a win and a clean sheet. You know, it's not often as a Chelsea fan you're ecstatic about scoring a goal and not conceding, but it's where we're at. And in another very disappointing season, we've made it into a final, so can't complain too much. You know, it's slim pickings over here.
I know it's been a long time coming, and you'd think that the clean sheet that we haven't had for such a long time, and the win that we haven't had in such a long time. Obviously, we had a win against Port Vale in the FA Cup, so it seems like the only wins we're getting are in the FA Cup. So, yeah, it was a good silver lining to the fact of a bad time. So hopefully here on in, things can start changing. But we can talk all things about Chelsea on the pitch and off the pitch. So let's start with the win yesterday anyway. What did you think about the win yesterday? How did you feel that Callum McFarlane was taking charge of the team, and do you feel like the team has now started to change the way that they play? Do you think that they were playing for Rafinha? And yeah, what do you think about the game?
I think there was definitely a step up in the attitude from the players. It looked like they were definitely more up for the occasion. So that just goes to show that clearly Rafinha had really lost them, which is obviously a big talking point. I think after the PSG defeat, the players looked a little bit done with him, and it seemed like there wasn't really much respect or belief with what we could do. So I think seeing the players rock up to Wembley with a bit of something about them is something we haven't seen, because to me the players look like they'd really just given up in the last few league defeats. And you know, when you go on a run as bad as ours of 5 defeats without conceding, it's going to be difficult to pick yourself up. But we've often seen that Chelsea can just rise to the occasion, and I think that's what we did. It's a semi-final in the FA Cup. It's a competition that we can't turn our noses up to, because it's one, firstly, that we haven't won in a long time, and secondly, this is our only opportunity to lift some silverware, as you say. So yeah, it was really good. To be quite honest, I thought Leeds were quite poor. I definitely thought they'd make it a bit more difficult, but maybe the actual occasion got to them a little bit more, and in the fact that it's a semi-final. But yeah, I think it was pretty simple in the end. A good goal, should have probably scored some more. João Pedro had some decent opportunities, but at the end of the day, you've kept a clean sheet. Sanchez popped up with some big saves as well, so you have to take the positives. It's been too negative, and I think again the bigger picture is dark, but when you've got a cup final to look forward to where anything can happen on the day, and we'll obviously talk about that, you have to actually just take the positives. And yeah, it's a happy win. What did you think of it though? Like, were you impressed, Chelsea?
Yeah, well, I'm more on the boycott at the moment, because obviously I would have had the availability to go to the game, but I chose not to, because obviously, as we have been protesting, obviously not many people might not know, but obviously like major sporting broadcasting has been actually taking notice now of it. I'm pretty sure the Sun has covered the protest from the last one. We've had a couple, obviously not been successful, but this one seemed to do quite a lot of numbers. And yeah, I'm more on the fact of I'm protesting against the ownership of how they've structured our model. I feel like it's put us in the place we have been. I feel like obviously the FA Cup is a silver lining in a bad time, and I feel like not all Chelsea fans are going to be happy with just the FA Cup final. I definitely am not. So yeah, I've been more on the boycott thing. So I'm refusing to pay for tickets to go to any other extra games. I'm refusing to go to the games themselves. I'm wearing my FA Cup final 1997 one, because these were the only good times I remember nowadays, because I don't want to buy into this new ownership stuff and where they're receiving their revenue to buy all these new young kids. So yeah, I'm more on the protest side, and I'm not really wanting to go to the games at the moment. And it's a sad thing. Like I feel like I want the team, not that I want the team to lose, but I feel like we need to keep losing for the model to have to drastically change. And I feel like we need to drastically change. They came out and said that they were wrong about how they've structured the model and they want to tweak it. And I don't feel like a tweak is enough. I feel like we need to actually do a lot more to the model. I feel like we have to really condense the squad and really distribute our wages correctly to the better players that come and sign for Chelsea, or that we could have signed for Chelsea. I feel like we could have got Elise over the line. I feel like we could have got Desiree Doué over the line. I feel like we could have got Mike Maignan over the line. And fiddling around over finances, and I feel like it's not the way forward for Chelsea. And I feel like the way that we've always been ran is to sign top quality players and proven players, and not these youngsters and taking gambles on them. So I feel like we need to make a drastic change in the way we've structured our model. So for me, yesterday, I don't know whether it was, I was having conversations yesterday, Nina, where is it better for us to lose to Leeds to make it look really, really bad on us that we're not going in any form of direction, or is it worse to lose to another big team in the final and get beat badly in front of millions of people, because obviously most people will be watching the final rather than the semis. So I don't know which is worse for their PR. So I don't want to look like a negative fan, Nina, but I feel like we have to look like a bad project for us to have to change drastically. But I feel like this ownership, just like the Club World Cup final and the Europa Conference League final last year, I feel like they think any trophy is good for us and happy for the fans. But I really just want to get back to competing. What do you think about that, Nina?
Yeah, no, I think you make some great points, but what I will say to that is Chelsea fans have not by any means taken this as, wow, this is suddenly fixing everything. And I think that's the most important thing, because when we've reached the finals that we have done under the new ownership, or won those really big games in isolation, like the Barcelona game at home, the PSG final last summer, those almost like blindsided us that this is actually becoming a prosperous thing and this project is working out for us. But now we're at this point with how this season has unfolded where everyone is on the same page that even winning an FA Cup this season does not mean anything, and it doesn't change anything in terms of the bigger picture, because we were told we'd be challenging for the title now after nearly 4 years into this project, that we would be competing in the big boy competition and absolutely like taking it up until the very end, and boy were we hit by a hard reality. So I think we're now at this stage where we know big changes need to be made. Chelsea has been a cup team forever. That's not changed since we last won the league. Chelsea has just been a cup team. Yeah, we've lost the cup finals like 6 in a row, by the way. However, you know, it's just been like we've just been a tournament team, and that's really it. So they have failed to make us this team that challenges for the title. We came into this season with that ambition, and that's failed miserably. We're 8th in the league, you know. We were just behind Arsenal when we played them in November, and boy did we fall off from there. So I think we're all on the same page that you can win an FA Cup, fine, that would be great for morale. Some of these players, most of them aren't really winners, so it might do them something, you know, in terms of like a positive, I guess like lift in morale and everything. But the bigger picture stays the same, because come this summer, like you say, if we don't invest our money properly, and you know, we know we don't have money really to spend like that, but you know, there's still every single area where you need to strengthen, right? Because goalkeeper, you're looking at centre backs, you're looking at potentially a midfielder. If Enzo Fernandez is sold, you're potentially looking at another winger, because we don't have goal scoring wingers. Like you say, we turned our nose up to Elise, we signed Garnachos, and we've had like Netos at the club now forever, who are they're not producing. There's no output from those wingers. So really, like, what are we offering there? So we need to, again, after all this money spend more potentially to recruit. And all of these rival fans are going to laugh at us now, but it is the truth. So the FA Cup's fine, good, but that doesn't change anything, because we're not closer to challenging for a Premier League title after that. We're probably not going to be in the Champions League to actually try and do well in that competition. So yeah, I think it's just for that one-off day where you might feel good you've won at Wembley, you've beaten a Manchester City if that's possible, but the bigger picture doesn't change. And I think all of Chelsea fans are on the same page for that, which is important. And you know, you mentioned like the protest. Well, I saw all of like the BlueCo out vans like circling around Wembley yesterday. We still won, but the message is there. That obviously needs to continue, because again, before the Man United game, that was great, but that needs to continue. It needs to be sustained, because you know, BlueCo winning an FA Cup, okay, what, 4 years down the line, and that's what you have to show for it. A Conference League trophy, a tournament that we had to win, but why are we in the Conference League in the first place? You know, the Club World Cup, fine, brilliant, not going to take away from that, but we want to win a Premier League. We want to win a Champions League again. So
I feel like the Conference League and the Europa League is like you're in the naughty corner. I don't feel like we're supposed to be there, so I feel like it's just a punishment for us rather than anything. It's the Champions League has now actually dwindled away from us, and I feel like all the fans are really starting to know that we're not in the Champions League, and I feel like that's why they're all on the same page now. But yeah, the protest, I just don't know what actually hits their pockets and what actually makes them feel like they know now that things ain't working. I don't know whether it's not going to games or whether it's protesting still. Because obviously I still want to be able to support the team going out there on the day, but it's just their model is what has bought these players, and I don't agree with it. So it's like, I just don't want to turn up to the game. So that's the kind of way I'm thinking. I am totally in agreement with some people that they just obviously still want to support the team and club regardless of all the politics behind it, and will go out there and support them in the final and just be happy that we've got to a final. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, that's just my stance in it. And I feel like you said, we need to go out and buy more people. But it feels like we've exasperated all of our finances, and I feel like we're on a now sell to buy, and we don't actually have the finances available. So the sell to buy stuff now is going to be crucial. And the fact that obviously the money we've spent, they're not going to really get many players money back on those sales for what they were actually worth in the first place. So it is looking daunting. But if we look forward to the managerial position, obviously we don't have a manager at the moment. We've got Callum McFarlane from Kinetic. Don't know how qualified he is to have the job, but obviously he's had some good results against Man City in the past. We drew to them, obviously, in the game when he was put in charge. Obviously, we need more than a draw. Obviously, we might win on penalties, who knows? But
by the way, I mean, can I just get your opinion on Enzo Fernandez? Because I don't think Enzo Fernandez should be leaving this summer. We can't let Enzo Fernandez leave. I don't know where you stand with him. He's divided our opinion a lot in the fan base, but I think first and foremost, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot massively, because when I look at this so-called project and the recruitment and the model and the way that they built when they came through, like Enzo Fernandez kind of embodied and was at the forefront with that, because we were so adamant to like get him through the door. And under like Enzo Maresca, he was almost this like newfound player, obviously boosted by having Caicedo alongside them. The duo was really like flourishing. So again, I think what Enzo Fernandez brings to the team, and again, I know that our standards are like underground right now, but in terms of like a bit of passion as well. And I know he spoke about Madrid. Every player speaks about Madrid, and I know that the words were like bad timing as well, but that's just the way of speaking out to the owners as well, saying, guys, like, we're not happy here. Like, the players look at each other on the pitch when they're losing and they're like, who do we draw inspiration from? Like, where are our leaders from the team? Because they all arrived off the back of like half a season in senior football, you know, half a season elsewhere in another league, and they were all put together like, there you go, play your football now. By the way, you're going to have nobody to learn from because you're all as new as each other. So they've also been failed in this so-called project, right? They want boosters, they want leaders as well, they want more experienced players to learn from. But yeah, just your opinion on Enzo Fernandez, because I don't think we should leave. He shouldn't go in summer.
I'm not really a big fan of Enzo Fernandez. I feel like he's very limited in his physical kind of attributes. Obviously I feel like he's got a lot more fitter physically, like not physically, but like in games, I feel like he runs a bit more. We've obviously used him in a bit more of an advanced role over the past year and a half, where I feel like we've left Caicedo a bit on an island. So I feel like obviously his statistics and numbers have gone up because of the advanced position he's now playing. But I've never been really a big fan of Enzo Fernandez, and I definitely don't trust his loyalty pointing to the badge, because he's already pointed to the badge at Benfica and said that he was staying, and he's done that again yesterday now, pointing to the badge. So I'm not really sold on Enzo Fernandez, but as a player, or his loyalty to the club. And I feel like the Real Madrid thing was a bit of a kick in the teeth. I feel like being on stream and talking about it, and I feel like it's a bit of a... He was insinuating that he wants to go to Madrid eventually, and I feel like he's just begging for them to come and buy him, because I think he knows. Just like, I think the message is clear, right? You are right in the fact that we're not in a great position. He wants obviously better with the club, but at the same time, I don't feel like he has any loyalties to the club, and I feel like he just wants to go to somewhere a bit better and a bit more sunnier. So yeah, I'm not really sold on Enzo Fernandez positionally in the team, playing wise anyway. And just, yeah, his stance on wanting to be at the club anyway. So I'm not really sold on Enzo.
Yeah, I do hear it, but I just think, you know, you're looking at someone who's popped up with goals as well this season. I'm pretty sure he's up there with our top scorers. He has scored some important goals. And again, I know he has his off games, but I just think in terms of, you know, he ran his socks off yesterday at Wembley. He was everywhere. He was really playing with a bit of a point to prove as well. And why wouldn't Enzo Fernandez want to stick around and have a long long-term, tenure at Chelsea, if he was to be supported, and if he did have, again, other players that were recruited. But let's be so for real, a lot of these players have lost belief in this project, and do you blame them? Because what they were told when they arrived at the door is so different from what is actually going on. And you have the same problem come this summer, because how do you sit down a world-class player and convince him that this is going to be great and this is something that's really like working? So you lose that pool as well, let alone if you can't even offer Champions League football, by the way, that's out the door. So it's really difficult. It is really difficult, but I just think the players really need a lift. And I think obviously that's so important because it comes from a manager. And let's be real, like Rosenior wasn't a coach who, I guess, installed a lot of motivation and belief. Like, clearly the players didn't respect him, and I think a coach is so important, and we just haven't. And I think it was evident under Enzo Maresca that the players did respect him and did like them. I think they were really shaken up that he left New Year's Day, because they firstly didn't expect it, secondly again feel let down that there is no longevity. Time doesn't mean anything here. Your time is not valued, and frankly, you can leave the door at any given moment. So it just contradicts this whole longevity, long term. I mean, they've done everything to prove that they're just trialing and erroring. That's all it's been. There is no structure to this thing, and you've just again proved that there is no coach like that you can actually put in the job and is going to be good enough to be given at least a season.
So Nina, obviously going into the FA Cup final, Callum McFarlane's in place. Would you rather stick with him for the final, or would you rather us get in someone now and be building for the future from here on in, or wait till next season and just go with Callum McFarlane?
Yeah, I think Callum should just see out the rest of the season, to be honest. I mean, he's there now. We just can't really afford to change again. And also, who's coming through the door right now anyway to take charge of that FA Cup final? So just wait till this summer. Again, like McFarlane, bless him. I guess he's had to deal with this. But I guess the way he managed the game yesterday was all right. But yeah, just, he's worked with the players now a little bit. He's been behind the scenes. Just let him have that final and just come this summer. This season is a write-off anyway. I'd love to say we'd have a world-class coach come through the door in summer, but we all know that's not happening. So yeah, but let Callum McFarlane have the final for sure. What about you?
Yeah, well, it's like with you. I feel like there's only a couple games to go in the season. I feel like Callum McFarlane, obviously, just give him the last 3 games. I don't feel like any manager coming in now will solve the issues that we need solved. So I feel like as well, because we are coming up into the World Cup period, obviously a lot more managers might be on the market after this World Cup. I feel like some people might achieve something. They might win the World Cup. They might want to step down. Some managers might underachieve. They might become available. Top managers like Nagelsmann and all these lot can be, even, who knows, even Tuchel. Maybe Tuchel doesn't achieve something well for England and Tuchel becomes available again. As we saw on the weekend, Tuchel was at the FA Cup final.
I need Tuchel to succeed with England.
Obviously, I want England to win the World Cup, but but I'm just saying, just if England don't achieve anything and England underachieve, maybe he becomes available again. Like I said, he was there on Sunday for the FA Cup final, so maybe he becomes available. But yeah, I just feel like the pool of managers open up massively after the World Cup is finished, and I feel like, I know there ain't going to be much of a time turnover for the managers to come in and work with the players like a normal pre-season, but I feel eventually like we're going to have a top-class manager. I don't feel like any of these inexperienced managers that don't deserve the Chelsea job should be given the job anymore.